Welcome to my vertical obsession, and today we are talking about the daughter of Zeus on ReelShort. This one stars Gabrielle Faith Brown as Arya, Cameron Porras as Kairos, Abigail Stanton as Hera, Andrew Tong as Hermes, and Mia Sidney as Daphne. And the synopsis for this is, after witnessing her mother's murder at the hands of gods, Arya believes one thing: gods are heartless. One day she kills a mysterious golden lamb to feed her starving family, unaware that it's a sacred creature of Olympus. She comes face to face with her mother's killer, the immortal champion of Olympus, Kairos, who brings her back to Olympus to face justice. Through her journey, she learns of her real identity, the strength that she holds, and the heartbreaking truth behind Kairos' violent history. Together they face danger, overcome trauma, and learn to accept their fate that bind them together for eternity. So actually, surprisingly enough, I didn't do a big overview like I have with some other ones, but this one, the overview I had was Kairos is a pawn, and Hera's revenge to get rid of all the women Zeus has slept with and the children he has fathered. Kairos ends up sparing the one child that will be the one who can free him. He knows he must protect her, so Hera cannot find out she, Arya, lived. While protecting her, the two grow closer and start to fall for each other. When Hera finds out that Arya is alive, she uses her hold on Kairos to separate the two, but the one thing Hera didn't expect was fate is much stronger than her power of control. In the end, fate will always win out. So now, what I did was I went into this big thought, which I feel like is kind of a little bit of an overview of it too, but so for my thoughts of this, where I really enjoyed how this one was a Greek mythology story, how it explored gods versus the typical other stories. When it comes to stories or series about Greek mythology, it's always fun to see what they took from the written history and what they changed to create their own story. Because a lot of the times, what is written isn't always what we know, that there's probably more out there that we don't know. So it's kind of nice to see when series adapt that and turn it into their own. And for this one, it was about the children of gods and what they might be doing. And yes, there was still some typical vertical drama thrown in with the mean girls picking on the new girl. It still had a different feel to it, and it was a different genre than the typical vertical, is what I was saying. Also gave off a couple different messages within the series, I felt. One being that everything happens for a reason. Kairos spared Arya's life, not knowing that she would be the one to free him from Hera's chains, which is the whole everything happens for a reason, because he saved her and now she's the one to save him. There was a reason why he saved her. It's because she can save him. The second being to believe in fate. As their fate showed them, they would be together and Kairos would be free. While they saw it, they didn't know how to fulfill it. It wasn't until they admitted they loved each other did it free him from Hera's control. Their fate was to love each other even with the past between them. Fate showed them that even when evil things happen, love can save you. Arya was able to look past Kairos killing her mother and seeing the man he could be. Kairos could see the good in Arya even when she wanted to and tried to kill him. That the bond they had was stronger than anything else. So those were kind of like two of the messages that I felt this series kind of gave off, especially with the Fate one, because they had this horrible history because he had killed her mother, not by his own doing, but because he was under Hera's control. But still, she could see past that and not see him as the killer that Hera turned him into, but see the person that he is and used to be before Hera got her control. And even though she tried to kill him and wanted to kill him on multiple occasions, he could see past that and still fall for the person and the woman that Arya was. So that's how I saw the Fate and how I felt it was trying to come across. So some of the notes that I had for this, one was kind of like more of a critique, I'd say. The other one was more of a question. So for the critique, it was about the props. The props kind of threw me off and kind of pulled me out of it a little bit. And I get it. Not big budget. You have to kind of work with what you got. And maybe with some of the training, I could see it not being fully look like a sword, or maybe because it's supposed to be Greek mythology and they're the gods and they're in the heavens and they're in Olympus, that maybe the swords do look different. But watching it, you could just tell that they were really foam, and it just did not like it. personally, I was not a fan of that. And like I said, I know not a big budget. Similar with TV shows, they don't always have a big budget to do certain things. Use an example for this is that The Flash. I know when it came to the Flash series, there were some like special effects in certain episodes that people would rip apart and make fun of because they were cheesy to them and they didn't think it looked good. So I think that is what this came across as a little bit for me, is that the swords especially, they just look too foam and not real and just really kind of pulled me out. And I don't really know how props work for swords. I feel like there might be some swords that look real, but they're like dull, very dull. I feel like that. I've seen that. But again, it might have been because they were trying to be like, oh, well, since they're in Olympus, maybe they don't have the standard swords and maybe they have a different type of sword that they use. But like I said, I was not a fan of how fake they look. That was the only thing that really kind of annoyed me about that, is just they looked so fake. But I really thought that this one had like such potential. Like it had potential to be such a good series and maybe kind of expand more, to do more with it, or have other series that are based on Greek mythology. So kind of like exploring different Greek mythology type stories. I feel like it has that potential to build and expand that world a little bit, I feel like. But also to say that this isn't the only series that the props have driven me a little crazy. It's just one of the ones that it's like really out there. So, but there are some other series where I'm just like, oh, this prop, you can tell it's so fake. Or the other one too is when people get cuffed, which is also a TV show thing too that I notice. So it's, again, not a vertical thing. It's just simply, I think, acting wise, it can look weird if it's not done correctly on camera. And like I said, I've noticed that on TV shows too, because one of the things that I've seen mentioned is that they don't actually cuff people on camera or in a show. They just hold like their hands unless they actually need to show that they're cuffed. I think that's different. But when someone's being like arrested and they're cuffing them and then dragging them away by their cuffed hands, I don't think they're actually cuffed on camera. They just kind of make it look like it. But there are times where it slips and you see, oh, they're not actually cuffed and that didn't actually go well. So I know I've seen that. I think I've seen it too on Daytime is one that I feel like I've seen it too, but it's just something that I kind of pay attention to a little bit more now. I'm not gonna lie. Now that I've kind of know that, it's like when someone is getting cuffed on camera, I kind of will pay attention and be like, are they actually getting cuffed, or are they just grabbing their hands and making it seem like they were cuffed? And to be fair, I understand that is probably more of a safety thing too, so someone doesn't accidentally put handcuffs on too tight in a scene, or does it in a way that they can't get it off if they need to like reset. I feel like that's more why they don't do it in the scene, or at least how I feel like it might be explained as to why they don't do it in the scene. And there could be times where they do, so I may be completely wrong on some of these, but it was just one of the things that I had read or seen about at one point. So, and then, like I mentioned, I had kind of like a question in my notes, and it was to the fact of Kairos sparing Arya. So it's mentioned how if Kairos disobeys Hera, he would burn. And that's shown when she tells him to kill Arya when she's in the cell and he won't do it, and he burns up as he helps her get away. So when that came up and that was mentioned, I was like, but if he had spared Arya when she was younger and didn't kill her, wouldn't he have burned for that disobedience? And wouldn't Hera have realized that meant that he didn't do what he was supposed to? So wouldn't it make her realize that one of the children were still alive? And I'm probably thinking way too much of this, but it was just one of those things where I was like, wait, but if he burns when he is disobedient, wouldn't he have burned when he didn't kill Arya because she told him to kill everyone in the house or to make sure the child was dead, but he spared her and walked away? So my brain also kind of thought maybe it was the the fates sparing him so that way she could come back later and be his savior. And I'm not sure that is like the right way of putting it, but that was one of the thoughts that I had, is that, oh, well, maybe the fates who are saying that she's going to be the one to save him was like, we won't let him get burned for this disobedience because we need her alive to free him. And if Hera realizes that she's still alive, then maybe it will throw everything off. And then the other thought was, oh, maybe Hera was just gone before he got back from supposedly killing the child, so she didn't see him getting burned. And that's kind of the logical thought that I had, is that she just didn't see him getting burned, so she didn't know about it. She just assumed that he would kill everyone, or kill the children, the child that Zeus fathered, and she left before he could say, yes, she's dead, and just assumed, oh, she's dead. And that's kind of what I figured how it went. Because if not, yeah, she should have realized that there was still a child of Zeus's out there. Make sense? Sometimes my brain overthinks these and goes, well, if you put this in here, well, now you gotta go, oh, well, this, and this, and all this is gonna happen, but if it doesn't happen, then we're... So sometimes I overthink some of these things way too much. And this was definitely one of them. And one of the last notes that I had was the fact that I loved seeing Savannah in this one. I did not really like seeing her as a mean girl, because I love her in those sweet, adorable roles. So it was not fun to see her be the mean girl. But it was at the same time, you know? It was nice getting to see her play a different character and also playing a supporting role for this. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because she's usually playing the lead female. So it was nice to see her being in this and being the support and being the mean girl, even though I prefer her as the sweet roles better. But it was nice to see her playing a different role. And one of the things I feel like I've mentioned before, maybe not on this podcast, but I feel like I may have mentioned, is that one of the things that I found and I've noticed is that the sweetest people in real life tend to play the best villains. And that is always one thing that I really love, is when the best villains turn out to be the sweetest people in real life, because it's so different from who they are in real life that it's nice to see that contrast between who they are in real life versus who they're playing on screen. And I also did mention here that I would love to see her in another Greek god series. And when I was mentioning earlier how this series had potential and that there could be more, I would love to see more. I would love to see more Greek god type series. And I hope ReelShort or any other of the vertical apps kind of start doing some more, because I like that. I like the fantasy type series as well. I know we get a lot of werewolf ones and ones that involve witches, but there's other fantasy type shows, other supernatural type series and shows and stories that can be tapped into. So I would like to kind of see more of that in this vertical space. I think it would be fun. So that being said, as I said, so this has been The Daughter of Zeus. So going into the rating, I gave it a 7.7 out of 10. And again, not to say that I didn't like it or it was terrible, because I did like it. I did enjoy it. But as I said, the props kind of pulled me out, and it was a little bit of why the rating is a little bit lower. But I still loved it. I still thought it was great. I enjoyed the characters very much so, especially the cast. It was really well cast with all the different characters. I thought Cameron did a very good job. I really liked him in that role. I've seen quite a few of his verticals, but I think right now this one might be my favorite of him as Kairos. I will say that. I thought it was just very fitting for him to be I know Kairos isn't a Greek god, but that's what my brain is just wanting to say. But yeah, I thought it was a very good role for him, and I really liked him in it. And it's a favorite so far to date of his series. And hopefully I do have another one that I am working on that he was in that will be coming up sometime soon. And I know there are some other ones that he's had in the past that I will go through, because that's still my plan, as I've mentioned, to kind of do new ones and do old ones. So it's just a balancing act right now of which ones to do and which ones not to do. So, or when to do them. So kind of catching up right now on some of the ones that I had written out before my break and some of the ones that I've just started watching to kind of go with the back and forth of the new ones versus old ones. But again, getting back into this. But yes, like I said, this was still good. Still recommend it. I loved it. And of course, when it first dropped on ReelShort, I was like, coming soon. And the trailer, I was like, okay, I can't wait. I was counting down the days until this one showed up, and I loved it. And the minute it dropped, I was like, yep, watching this. So I was excited about this one. And I think mostly because of the whole Greek mythology and the gods and that whole aspect. I think that's what really kind of drew me to this series. So yeah, as always, would love to hear your thoughts on the series, what you might have liked or didn't like. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to give it a review. I am your host, Megan, and this has been My Vertical Obsession. Until next time.